Here we go. Here we go. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Here we have another crazy story, another crazy story. Little Durk. It's starting to get real now. It's starting to get real now. Matter of fact, Little Durk, I'm trying to figure out if he does get sentenced to life in jail. Would he be hanging around with Rod Diggs? Imagine that. Imagine Little Durk and Rod Diggs doing a song together from behind the bars. That'd be crazy if you think about it.
Racketeering charges for running a drug dealing operation. They also claim he was involved in 3 and 3 attempted and introduced his music videos as evidence.
The music is basically us talking about the life that we come from, not necessarily saying this is what I did. You know, this is a very intelligent man, and this is not a man who would.
So that's what's going on right now. Rod Diggs, Lil Durk, very similar, I believe, meaning they were both committing crimes and they were both rapping about the crimes that they were committed. And they also both thought they were so smart. But the first mistake these individuals made was doing crimes in the first place. Don't forget, there's cameras everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's cameras. Not only is there cameras everywhere, but these individuals like to commit these crimes, they said, and they like to brag about it. Tell their friends, but they also like to put in a rap song. So that's what's going on with Lil Durk and Rod Diggs. Very similar, if you think about it. Unbelievable.
Crimes and didn't tell you for you to use it against him.
These acts, we knowingly understand what comes with this. We want the lights and we want the glitter and we want this, but we understand the only thing that's promised is jail or death. Diggs, knowing the individual he is, I think he understood what comes with it. If he was engaged in that, I think he was prepared for the outcome of his activities.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Was Lil Durk, if he did it, was he prepared for the consequence that comes along with it? Maybe. Or maybe not. Believe it or not, a lot of these individuals, they talk a good game. But when it comes down to it, a matter of fact, some of them even say, you know what? I don't wish jail on my worst enemies. They be lying. Or maybe not. Imagine that. Imagine they don't wish jail on their worst enemies. They wish something even worse. And not only did they wish something even worse than jail for their enemies, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing all the way around.
Eulogy dropped. Nobody could have predicted the wild accusations that would later come to light against Ronald Herron, better known as Rod Diggs.
Born out of that, I was forced with a decision. Either I'm gonna stall.
See, very similarities. These individuals are rappers. These individuals say they come from the streets. These individuals say they come from the slums. Even though these individuals, they were actually pretty good off. Well off, For example, I'm quite certain they had a television where they were. They had a bathroom. They had a bed. For some reason, they wanted more than that. Imagine that. They want more than that. They got more than that. Matter of fact, they said they got a little more than they could handle. Rod Diggs, he's in ADX right now, and there's a good possibility that Little Durk might join him. Imagine that. Imagine joining Rod Diggs in ADX.
The story behind this guy is straight out of a crime thriller. Picture this. Rod Diggs allegedly had one of his associates go undercover in the most extreme way. Wig, lipstick, makeup, the whole 9 yards, just to get close to a target he wanted. And get this, the associate even claimed that Rod Diggs himself had used this disguise method before to carry out hits. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface of Rod Diggs' criminal.
So that's what's going on. Similar Rod Diggs, Lil Durk. These individuals, for some reason, they want to indulge in criminal activities, especially unalived individuals. I have no idea what type of thrill, what type of pleasure these individuals get out of unaliving people. That's why, believe it or not, when these individuals are in the ADX or when they get life in the Fed, you can't be sad, because these individuals, they were barbaric. Some individuals even say, you know what, they were kind of barbarians in a sense. Imagine that.
History. The stuff he got into was so hardcore that he ended up with not 1, not 2, but 3 life sentences plus an extra 105 years tacked on for good measure.
Rod Diggs got 3 life sentences. You heard about this?
I actually seen it I think it was on your website yesterday, and I was like, and I feel bad.
And where is he serving?
Believe it or not, it doesn't matter if you get 3 life sentences. Anything over 1 is too much. Imagine that. Those extra life sentences, that's just a joke. That's just like, you know what? Do you want an extra slice of pizza? You want an extra slice of pizza? Even though you already have like so much pizza. Yeah, it's a terrible decision. It's a terrible thing for everybody, believe it or not. These individuals, as I said, it's not just Lil Durk. These rappers have been going out of their way, committing crimes and incriminating themselves for so long. It's really a terrible thing, though.
Serving the mind-boggling sentence in none other than the infamous ADX Florence, the Supermax prison often dubbed the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Now, if you're not familiar, this place is notorious for housing the worst of the worst. Terrorists, cartel leaders, gang bosses, and all sorts of high-profile criminals.
So I'm trying to figure out if Lil Durk does go to the feds for life, for example, would he have to go to the ADX too? Maybe. Because I believe, the reason why I say that, because I believe if Lil Durk was just in the regular feds, he'd probably have too much influence on the other inmates. I could be wrong. I'm just talking. That's it. So there's a possibility that Lil Durk, he might end up in ADX too, just like Raw Diggs. Imagine that. 2 rappers talking about crimes in their records. Unbelievable.
It's a place where even hardened criminals have a tough time. A facility where they say death might be easier than living out your days there.
In an exclusive interview, a former warden and a former inmate tell us death is easier than life at the federal Supermax.
Think about that. Is that the truth? Could the Supermax really be that bad? They said death is easier? I don't know. Imagine that.
It is as isolated as the prisoners who call it home. The prison, called ADX Florence, is a tomb for the living.
To me, it's life after death.
So what exactly did Raw Diggs do to land himself in such a hellhole? Let's dive in deeper.
I think Rod Diggs, knowing the individual he is, I think he understood what comes with it. If he was engaged in that, I think he was prepared for the outcome of his.
So that's what's going on. Lil Durk, you have to admit, if you commit crimes, you have to say in the back of your mind, you know what? It's just a matter of time before I get caught. So maybe that's what's going on. Lil Durk said, you know what? I'm just talking. But maybe he was prepared. I have to admit. He sounds pretty cool and calm and collected behind the bars. I heard him do an interview about a week ago. Imagine that.
Activities.
Ronald Herron, better known as Raw Diggs, was born in 1982 and grew up in Gowanus projects of Brooklyn, New York, a place that's seen a lot of change due to gentrification. But back then, it was a rough area to navigate. Surrounded by crime and violence, Raw Diggs found himself caught up in the streets early on, getting involved with criminal activities and
that's what's going on with most of these individuals. They said they're from rough neighborhoods. Maybe some of them are. But a lot of them, believe it or not, they made their neighborhood even rougher. Because Raw Diggs, for example, he was doing so many bad things in his neighborhood. And they said Lil Durk. They said he was doing so much bad things in his neighborhood. So believe it or not, a lot of these neighborhoods are bad because these individuals, they do so much bad things in their neighborhood. It's a terrible thing. It really is.
Joining the Bloods. His adolescence was a revolving door of correctional facilities, setting the stage for the reputation he would go on to build.
I was brought up toting slammers, nigga. Like, so, Bill had to be extra tight. You feel me? Like,
in September 1998, things took a dark.
So that's what's going on right there. He blood, Lil Durk, OTF. Imagine that. These individuals, they always want to be around other individuals and form a gang or whatever they call themselves. Friends. I don't know. Only thing I do know, they got Raw Diggs and they got Lil Durk. What I'm trying to figure out, will they both be in the ADX together either way? Raw Diggs, he got so long. And they said Lil Durk, he might get so long too. Imagine that. Imagine if he gets off and Raw Diggs going to have to be the only one in ADX. Only rapper. I don't know. I'm just saying. Unbelievable.
When a shooting in Wyckoff Gardens, a nearby project, left an innocent bystander. Just 2 years later, on October 7th, 2000, Rod Diggs himself was shot in the leg during a dispute over a drug debt. But Rod Diggs wasn't the type to let something like that slide. While recovering at Kings County Hospital, he orchestrated a retaliation hit on his shooter, carried out by his cousins. This act only cemented his reputation.
See what I'm saying? Very similar. Retaliation. These individuals don't believe in losses. They don't believe in anything else but retaliation. They said Lil Durk, he had to get retaliation for what happened to D-Thing. He had to get retaliation for what happened to King Von. And whoops, everybody, I don't know. That's what they said. These individuals love to get retaliation. But like as he said, they must know what comes along with retaliation. Imagine that. Imagine being prepared to go to jail. I don't know.
For violence. He even bragged about it in a song with Uncle Murda on the GZ beat for Slow Down, spitting lines like, I don't respect the shooter because he shot me in the legs, and 2 days later the little homie was dead. See, if he was smart, he would have shot me in the head because I could get you shot from a hospital bed.
See, if he was smart, he would have
Man, what? Man, what? Seems very similar to what Lil Durk said in his rap. What did Lil Durk say? What did Lil Durk say? I think Lil Durk said, you know what? Go check out his raps. You know? Check out his raps. Something about, you know what? If my brother was in the nightclub that day, he whatever, you know, that day he died, you know he dying too. Something like that. I don't know. These individuals, all they talk about is crime. All they talk about is murders. I have no idea. Imagine that. They even have an individual, his name is Uncle Murder. Imagine that. These individuals promote violence. It's an unbelievable thing. It really is.
But that was just the beginning. In 2001, Rod Diggs found himself facing a charge for of Frederick Brooks, an alleged rival dealer. On June 16, 2001, Brooks was gunned down in the lobby of 198 Bond Street, shot multiple times in the face, neck, back, and head. The crime scene was brutal, leaving Brooks to bleed out on the floor.
These individuals are violent. They're violent. I heard Lil Durk say, you know what? My favorite pose. His favorite pose. You know what his favorite pose is. Go check that out. These individuals believe in violence. It's a terrible thing, though. I wonder where they learned it from. You know what? I know what it is. They probably learned it from somebody who they thought were their friends. Imagine that. Rod Diggs said he learned all his violence from his uncles. Imagine that. Who did Lil Durk learn it from? I don't know. Maybe he was watching a lot of Scarface movies. I'm just talking. That's it. Unbelievable if you think about it.
Along with members of his Bloods crew, took steps to dispose of the firearm used in but it wasn't long before the authorities caught up with him. By July 2001, he was arrested and put on trial in New York State Criminal Court. The prosecution claimed to have two key eyewitnesses, let's call them Witness A and Witness B. Both had given recorded statements to the assistant district attorney, identifying Rod Diggs as the shooter who took Brooks' life.
I said these individuals have a lot of similarities. Imagine that. Eyewitnesses. Imagine that. These individuals say, you know what? I don't like rats. I don't like snitches. But you know what? A lot of individuals, they don't like trigger pullers. And they don't like individuals who, you know what? Tell individuals to go commit crimes for them. Imagine that. It's a terrible thing.
Him out of a police lineup. But when it came time to testify, things took a shocking turn. Both witnesses recanted their statements, claiming they'd been threatened by Rod Diggs and his associates. Another witness, Witness C, testified that he saw Rod Diggs arguing with Brooks before following them into the lobby. There he witnessed Rod Diggs push Brooks against the mailboxes, pull out a...
Believe it or not, that's why Lil Durk, he can't get a bill. Authorities say, you know what? He's going to threaten the witnesses. He might try to harm the witnesses. It's a terrible thing. But they got him. They really do.
Gun and shoot him. Despite this, Witness C knew that testifying against Rod Diggs was a death sentence, so he lied about his role in the murder. Yet another witness, Witness D, also saw the murder but refused to identify Rod Diggs on the stand out of fear for his life. The level of influence Rod Diggs wielded in his community was undeniable, and it paid off. He walked away from the case acquitted, later bragging about beating the body.
Bro, he had beaten a murder case. Yeah.
Imagine that. Will individuals be scared to come testify against Lil Durk? I don't know. I'm just talking. Will Lil Durk say, you know what, I beat that? Will he brag about it like what King Von used to do? I don't know, maybe.
He was out.
But this wasn't the end of his run-ins with the law. Throughout the early 2000s, Rod Diggs continued to build up his blood set, known as the Murderous Mad Dogs, using 423 Baltic Street in Brooklyn as his base of operation.
While Lil Durk was building up OTF, imagine that, over the past 10 years, these individuals, they love to bring other criminals together for whatever reason. And these same criminals they bring together, they thought they were their friends. Until the police say, you know what? Are you ready to do that 55 years? They say, what? He did it.
His crew was involved in everything from drug dealing to extortion, robbery, and even murder. Rod Diggs was briefly locked up for drug but managed to maintain control of his enterprise from behind bars. When he was released in July of 2007, he didn't slow down. In fact, he had a new vision for expanding his empire. However, the streets don't stay quiet for long. In 2007, a local drug dealer referred to in court documents as John Doe was selling crack in the same projects where Rod Diggs.
Believe it or not, all the streets does is talk. Imagine that. Imagine being from the streets and not knowing who the real criminals are. They usually do. These individuals from the streets, all they do is gossip. All they do, that's it.
Not one to tolerate competition, Rod Diggs ordered 2 of his men to rob John Doe. They caught him in a building lobby, and despite an attempt by a friend of John Doe to intervene, one of Rod Diggs' guys pulled a pistol while the other emptied John Doe's pockets, taking between $600 to $700 in cash.
So that's what's going on right there. What's going on right there? Rod Diggs, I thought that him and Lil Durk probably had something similar in common, so I decided to make this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. There's a good chance I said of Lil Durk, if he gets that life, him and Rod Diggs might be in the ADX together. I don't know a lot. The only thing I do know is crime don't pay, but I see him do it. Do I see him do it? Though? Unbelievable.